Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're from. Thank you so much for joining us here on day 2 of BB Dev Days. I am so excited to introduce you to our speaker for our session today, Tasia Ferguson. Tasia is a data and AI cloud solutions architect with Microsoft, and she's focused on tech for social impact. So she spends her time working with nonprofit customers to implement Microsoft Fabric and is here to share with you her expertise on how your organizations can leverage this tool for your own success. This is Data-Driven Impact, leveraging Microsoft Fabric for nonprofit success. Thanks, Tasia.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, everyone, for joining. It seems like from all over the world. I'm with you from Washington, D.C. And so thank you, Elizabeth, for that introduction. For the next 30 minutes, we'll talk about how nonprofits can leverage our latest tool in the Microsoft Analytics stack, Microsoft Fabric. And as Elizabeth mentioned, I'm very lucky to be in the role that I'm in within Microsoft, which is within the Tech for Social Impact team. The Tech for Social Impact team specifically works with nonprofits and mission-driven organizations and helps them to utilize Microsoft technologies to accelerate social good. And within that team, as a cloud solution architect, myself and my colleagues, we help nonprofits to implement data analytics solution. And so very excited to share a little bit about the work that I get to do every day with you all. And so for today's presentation, I'm going to just give you a little bit of a ground you in what Microsoft Fabric is, with a background, and then a few video demos so you can see the look and feel of the platform, and then I'll pivot to how myself and other of my team members in my role have seen organizations tackle various use cases. So starting our conversation with the broader concept of AI and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is having computers and machines mimic human decision making. And my background and training is in data science and machine learning. But in this last year to 2 years, we've seen a big acceleration in interest and adoption of AI solutions, and that's been triggered by the release of applications like ChatGPT and Big Chat that are fueled by models called large language models, generative AI. And so a lot of us have been able to experience firsthand how the things that we do on a daily basis, like writing an email or drafting a document, can be accelerated, and you can move much faster with these sorts of technologies. So on an individual basis, we're understanding it, and organizations across the world are deciding how they're going to, and if they're going to implement these technologies into the work that they're doing. And so as organizations are thinking about implementing AI into their work, there's a lot of things that have to be considered. And I've had the benefit of sitting on some nonprofit panels as they have grappled with some of these decisions. So some of the things that have come up is across your organization, you have many different use cases that can help you to accelerate social good. So what use cases would you prioritize to implement AI? And are there certain individuals or departments where you would implement AI solutions first? Are there certain operational workloads where you can infuse it? And these are some of the things that you may consider. The last a bullet there is the focus of the presentation today is the data itself within your organization and if it's ready for your AI journey. And that's an important question to ask. Is your data estate in order for AI? Because AI is only as good as the data that it has. So one of the sayings within the data science community is garbage in, garbage out. You have the information that exists, and if it is not quality, if it's not accurate, if it's not safe and protected, then the solutions that are built on top of it are going to reflect exactly what the data that it's feeding off of. And so understanding that that data is the food of artificial intelligence and machine learning models, you really understand how important it is to start with the data itself, to making sure that you, one, have the data, all the data that you need, and that it's processed and prepared in a way that is useful. And I don't know if I mentioned this at the top of the call. I will be stopping 5 minutes, about 10:25 to answer any questions in the chat. So what are the things that you organizations, what are some of the things that organizations need to consider when preparing your data estate for advanced analytics? There's a lot to consider, starting with the many products that are out there in the analytics space. You have a lot to choose from, and the choice is that you're making is from usually many different individuals across the organizations. There are personas that exist within the analytics space, personas like a data scientist, data engineers, data analysts, database administrators. All of these individuals are going to participate in this analytics journey, and you need to find and create analytics platform that service all of these different roles. And when you're working in this space, every tool that you use requires learning and upskilling. It's not just the domain expertise, the training that you received at as a database administrator. The tool itself often requires deep expertise and has steep learning curves. And so understanding the complexities of the products, the individuals, and the choices of the types of services that you have. Microsoft conducted customer advisory groups to understand the needs of the customers that we serve, and how is it that we can improve the experience for data analytics. And from this perspective, we got a message loud and clear from this group, which is that we want to simplify our analytics. We want to simplify our data platform. I'm the chief data officer. I don't want to be the chief data integration officer, meaning that I don't want to have the responsibility of integrating all of these different tools and optimizing and provisioning all these different tools. We want to do the important work of analytics. And so understanding that message loud and clear, Microsoft took a step back and built Microsoft Fabric from the ground up, considering the fact that organizations want a simplified approach to their analytics journey. And so with Microsoft Fabric, it is an end-to-end analytics platform. And so when I think about it being an end-to-end analytics platform, I think about a coworker of mine. And when we first learned about the tool internally and we heard the messaging, he said, end-to-end analytics platform, that's a really big statement. Because for anyone who has worked in the analytics space, we understand the processes that we normally go to get from the data sources all the way through to data insights. And just to imagine that there could be a place where I can log into one platform and start with connecting to my data, go through data engineering, go through data science, and build out my interactive reports or paginated reports in one platform is sort of mind-blowing. But I have been proven through experience, I am a believer because I've been able to, as I mentioned, help organizations implement this tool. And it is indeed an end-to-end analytics platform. So how is that possible? How do we pull together all of those pieces? These four pillars are the key to how that all comes together. The first is OneLake. OneLake is our default data store within Fabric, and we'll talk more about it. But for now, you can think about OneLake as the integration across the platform itself and external to Fabric. Fabric is not just a place for you to connect your Microsoft services, but to connect your entire data estate. Second, it being SaaSified, in contrast, software as a service in contrast to platform as a service. All of our analytics tools, with the exception of Power BI, before Fabric, they were all platform as a service, meaning that the organization was responsible for the provisioning and optimization of the tool. When you move to software as a service, that workload is put onto the platform itself, and it will manage all of those things for you. So you're mainly focused on the actual work and not the management of the tool. The third is that it's AI ready. Fabric sits at an interesting intersection because it's here to help you prepare your data for advanced analytics, to advance your mission, but it also has AI assistance at every step of the development process. So it's infused with AI. And lastly is data security. With building Fabric from the ground up, it was the Microsoft engineers were also able to incorporate aspects from other tools, especially around data governance. So tools from Microsoft 365 and our Purview data catalog. These data governance tools are integrated into the Fabric experience. And so how does it all come together? It comes together in 7 distinct but integrated workloads, and all connected and optimized to work with that default data store that I mentioned, OneLake. So starting from the left of this visual, I'm going to talk a little bit, and you'll see this in the video demo that I'm about to share in a moment. We're starting with data integration. So data integration, this is where we connect to data sources. Fabric has pre-built data connectors that you can connect to your data sources and bring them into that OneLake, that default data store environment. And from there, you can continue to work with that data through our data engineering workload to continue to process, massage that data into the format that you need for analytics. And then data science, you can build your machine learning models, your generative AI models within the platform, and then a data warehousing workload. So we have all the tabular data has a SQL endpoint that you can connect to external from Fabric to query and manage the data within your OneLake. Real-time analytics, which is very exciting because now we're bringing batch workloads that are batch workloads being brought in on a schedule with real-time streaming data, IoT devices, all saved in that same default data store and connecting to your visualizations, perhaps through Power BI. And Power BI is going to connect directly to all of that data that is stored in the OneLake. And the last workload being data observability that allows you to manage your data and KPIs and set up automated workflows based on what is in your data estate. And so this is how it all comes together. This slide is also highlighting that we're able to bring in into our OneLake data of many different files and formats. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and do a video demo of the Fabric environment. It's going to walk through the end-to-end process. It's about 2 minutes of ingesting the data, bringing it into the OneLake, and finally creating a Power BI report with that data.
Let's see how Microsoft Fabric can bring together data from multiple clouds into a unified data estate. We're going to start by creating a new lakehouse in OneLake within Fabric. All I have to do is give it a name, press create, and in a couple of seconds, I have an enterprise-ready lakehouse ready to go. Now we can bring data into the lakehouse by using any of the 150 connectors that we have here. But we don't want to do that in this case because we don't want to physically move the data. So instead, we're going to use shortcuts. Shortcuts allow us to link to data wherever it is and be able to query it and use it in Fabric without creating any unneeded copies of the data. For this example, we have a variety of marketing campaign assets we'd like to include in our project that are being stored in Amazon S3 buckets. We're just going to connect to the S3 bucket, point to the data we have there, and within a couple of seconds, we have it linked in our lakehouse. Now we can access all of these assets here in Fabric, and you can see some of the beaches next to our hotels that we're using in our marketing. But I also have some additional campaign assets I want to work with, and they happen to be on my desktop. To bring in these additional images, I'm just going to use Windows Explorer. You can think of OneLake like being OneDrive for your data. So just like you have OneDrive showing up in Windows Explorer, you have OneLake showing up here as well. If I browse inside of OneLake, you can see all of the workspaces that I have access to from Fabric, and I can navigate to the solution we're working with, and I can see what we've already created a shortcut to in the Amazon S3 bucket. And now I can bring in my additional assets for activities we offer at our hotels, and I can just drag them and drop them into a new folder in my lakehouse. These are added into OneLake, and if I come back to my lakehouse in Fabric, you can see them already showing up. This is great, but analyzing marketing campaign assets is only a small part of the project I'm trying to build. The most important piece is getting access to the tables of data tracking our marketing performance. For this data, my organization is using Databricks with data that is also stored in Amazon S3. Here I can see the Delta directories in the S3 bucket. And again, I want to bring this data into OneLake in Fabric without making a copy of the data. So I'll create a new shortcut. All I have to do is connect, provide the settings to access those tables, and within a couple of seconds, the tables show up here in Fabric, and it is ready for me to query and use in my data solution. Now, in addition to our marketing data, I also need to bring in sales data for my solution. And in this case, our sales data is stored in Azure in ADLS. Again, I can just create a shortcut to the underlying data so I can use it without data duplication. And just like that, here in Fabric, I'm pulling together data from both Azure and Amazon with data I've loaded manually into Fabric, and it's all coming together into a single solution. And now we can start running queries across the data. Let's switch over to the data warehouse experience in Fabric, and we're going to write some SQL queries. This query is going to join data from the tables in AWS with the tables in Azure, and it just runs. And behind the scenes, Fabric is taking care of accessing the data and getting the result with what is essentially a cross-cloud query, and I didn't have to do anything extra. It just works that easy in Fabric. Now, many users don't know how to write SQL queries, so for those users, we have the ability to add semantic models right on top of my data in Fabric. Again, everything is working automatically with shortcuts, so no duplication of data is needed. And I can define relationships and measures to enrich the data to make it much easier to access for reporting and analysis in Power BI. And now let's switch over to Power BI to see how we can analyze the data. Of course, since we've integrated Copilot into Power BI, I can just describe the report I'm looking for, and Copilot will look at the data model and the data we've pulled together, and then automatically create an interactive report based on my request. The report is fully interactive, and I can slice and dice the data. But remember, the data is being queried automatically using the shortcuts back to where the original data lives, with Fabric taking care of everything to access, query, and join the data behind the scenes. As you've seen, we can use shortcuts in Fabric to seamlessly bring data together from wherever it currently lives and use it all the way through my data estate to my end user applications without any unneeded data duplication.
And so in that video, you were able to see how Fabric can connect to data to copy data in through our plugins or processes like our pipelines, but you don't actually have to move a lot of the data into Fabric itself. It's that connection, again, across to other tools. You can utilize things like shortcuts to connect to environments such as AWS and Google. And then it demoed in the end creating a Power BI report with Copilot. Just want to show another quick video of the Copilot experiences that exist throughout the development, because we have the data integration element, the connecting and the pulling in the data itself, the data science workloads, building those machine learning models, and then finally building the report. So the next video is going to be a quick teaser of those Copilot experiences. The AI plugin, all of those Copilot experiences are available today in Fabric. The AI plugin for your data is a feature that is coming soon.
Next generation AI in Microsoft Fabric empowers you to unlock the full potential of your data. With Copilot integrated into every data experience, Microsoft Fabric lets you use natural language to bring your data to life. From integrating data to writing code to finding insights and creating reports, new transformative AI experiences work alongside you every step of the way, so you can stay focused on getting value from your data. Copilot helps turn your words into data flows and data pipelines, so you can intelligently integrate data from anywhere. When writing code, Copilot automatically suggests code and entire functions in real time, and Copilot can guide you to create machine learning models to unlock insights in your data. Just by chatting with Copilot, you can visually explore your data to create stunning reports, discover insights, and summarize your data into easy-to-understand text narratives for sharing. With Copilot, you can turn insight into action with triggers that monitor your data and notify users. You can even create your own custom natural language experiences that combine Azure OpenAI models and your organization's data, and easily publish your creations as plugins. And with your data in Fabric, Copilot provides insights and answers everywhere work gets done. Most importantly, Microsoft Cloud runs on trust, which means your data always remains your data. Bring your data into the era of AI with Microsoft Fabric.
So that is a demo of the Copilot experiences within Microsoft Fabric. And so now pivoting to the nonprofit data solutions that myself and other cloud solution architects within Tech for Social Impact have seen within the nonprofit space. So when it comes to nonprofits, there are things that nonprofit organizations have in common, such as donor management and grants management, but one of the fun things about working with nonprofits is also the variety of use cases that we see. And so these are a few of some of the use cases that and patterns that we have seen across our work. So things spanning work, for example, with retail organizations where you're needing to manage the inventory of donations, things like food distribution, and managing the demand, which might be similar to a healthcare organization that that manages blood donations. And so these examples show the vast range of the amount of the data and the analysis that has to be done in order to advance your missions. And so these scenarios fall within what we call common analytical patterns, like data science and real-time analytics. And I want to dive deeper into just a few examples that we have worked with, and how Fabric has been utilized to address these issues. So, for example, food banks. How can you forecast demand for different food items? With Microsoft Fabric, some of the organizations, and I'm not talking about an organization in particular, but drawing from a variety of experiences, have been able to use things like large language models to not only map demand forecasting, but understanding the individual items themselves, and environmental advocacy groups utilizing things like the real-time analytics flow in order to map those population pollution data sets and climate change data sets. And I want to focus on one in particular, which is a community health clinic, and how it can utilize Fabric to resolve some of the complexities within their data estate. Fabric not only has integrated solutions that allows you to address all of these different use cases, it also has pre-built pipelines that allows you to connect to data such as FHIR data. So with a community health clinic, being able to connect to these data sources like your Azure data health services, or your Dynamics 365 customer insights data. And really wanted to highlight the Dynamics 365 customer insights data. For many of our organizations, the outreach is quite important. So understanding that the profile of the individuals that you serve, and how to use that information to do outreach into the community, and develop those marketing campaigns to get people into the door to receive those services that are being provided. And so this is one of the architectural designs that we have worked with specifically groups in the healthcare space to develop in order to implement their solution within Fabric. And I am looking at the time. We have 2 minutes, and I do know that we have some questions in the chat that Elizabeth has shared with me. So I'm gonna pause there and summarize and say that what we have seen in the nonprofit space is that there are a variety of different use cases, and being able to partner with your pre-built data sets like Dynamics and Blackbaud to have those already made solutions implemented into a common data platform helps to accelerate those solutions. And so I'll try to address 2 questions. First, I see one that Elizabeth shared is there data integration from Blackbaud CRM to Microsoft OneLake? There is not a direct connection from Blackbaud CRM to Microsoft OneLake, but I have worked with an organization that had data in Blackbaud CRM. And so what we would do is utilize the data flows or Power Query to connect to that data and process it and bring it into OneLake. Our nonprofits use cases available that show the value and ease of the platform. Yes, there are. I've personally helped to deploy at least 8 Fabric solutions with different nonprofits over the last few months, but I don't disclose their names. But we could talk more about that if you decided to implement. Can you speak about? And so we're at time, so we're going to collect.
Yes, Tasha, thank you so much. We are at time. We are going to collect these questions and kind of go through to see if there are any that we need to follow up on. But we are so happy to have had you today with us, sharing about Fabric, and for everybody who attended the session. Thank you so much. I did send out the survey, so please feel free to provide us with your feedback, and have a great day and enjoy the rest of BB Dev Days.
Thank you all. I really appreciate you spending the last 30 minutes with me. Enjoy the rest of the conference.